Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Current Racing League. This is Tier 4. We are here for the second round of the season at the Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka. Apologies, I heard that in the background. That was me playing my own commentary on my phone. But alongside me today is George Hargreaves.
Hello.
Nice to see you, George. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm looking forward to this. There's some really competitive drives in Tier 4, so it'll be good to watch this race unfold.
Indeed it is, mate. And last week's we were at the Austrian Grand Prix where I had Ben in the chat with me. He's right here right now, is Ben. So hello, Ben. Yeah, Ben was my co-commentator last week. I missed most of it, unfortunately, due to connection issues, but hopefully I'll be here again throughout the whole race. And we've got an 18-minute qualifying session coming up with us as well. And I think a 27-lap race ahead of us as well. 53 divided by 2 is 26.5, so yeah, 27 laps to go in this race. And last time in qualifying at the Austrian Grand Prix it was wet, but this time it is dry, so hopefully it'll be much better for these guys in terms of conditions. But for us commentators, the wet conditions are much better because we can see the skill these drivers have to drive around the track.
No one's out yet. What's the time looking like? I haven't been keeping up with it. Probably mid to high 27s, I would say.
I don't really join the practice sessions or look because I want to surprise myself every race I go into, so I just wait till the day comes and see what these drivers put on display. But yeah, in the comment section, Culpa Baldock says George Hargreaves. Is that the infamous George Hargreaves next to you? And it is, mate. George is here tonight with me, the former Tier 4 racer, or Tier 3 racer, sorry. Now it's Tier 4, this tier is. We've got 5 tiers in this category. And we've got Craigo on our outlap then. So you've raced amongst these guys, George, in the past. How has it panned out for you racing against these guys? Like, you obviously know their pace, so what are they like?
Yeah, racing with these guys, it were brilliant. They're like proper competitive racing, mostly clean. 1 or 2 incidents we don't talk about, but I think there's going to be 3 or 4 of them that are going to be right up there with each other, and I think it'll be really interesting to see. From what I can remember last season, Leon was quick, Mazzles was pretty fast, Fandango was pretty quick, Polish Man, Palmer, those are the guys I know about most, but yeah, they're all really good racing, it's fun to watch them.
Yeah, and there was a good display you put on as well against those guys last season, not to mention any race wins at all. But Craigo coming around the final 2 corners then to start his first flying lap. We know Craigo is always out there, the first man out there in the McLaren. He was in the Aston Martin alongside Dragon on Speed last season, but Dragon on Speed is not in this tier. As we make our way down into turn 1, they're carrying a lot of speed to the first corner, they're braking, going out wide to come back in, using all the curb at turn number 2 now, carrying a lot of speed with the first set to call it. The S's, if you want to, just lift off there, just feathering the throttle to see where you can find the limits around here, not use the brake too much, just a slight dab there as we come up towards Dunlop now, into 6th gear, and that is very solid indeed as he makes his way out of there, coming towards the end of the first sector. What is that? I can't really see it. 31.7 there as he goes deep. He almost crashed there, and we've seen plenty of people that go off at turn, Degner 1, go off the barriers. Corner. It is indeed.
Oh, Polishman's out. Polishman is out. I don't know what he's done, but he's out.
I think he retired in the pit lane because it did say a yellow flag out there.
So ban.
I don't think he raced last week, so.
Don't know where to look, but it would make sense.
We've got Palmer making his way towards the second end of Spoon then, as he makes his way out of that left-hander right there, then approaches speeds about 310 kilometers an hour as he revs it out in 7th gear, coming towards 130R, should be flat out nowadays, which it is, dude, just holds it with 300 kilometers an hour, breaking at the 100 meter board. That was quite a weird line he took through there, just brought it over to the right hand side. Not really see many people do that before. That's usually in the rain people do that, but as he comes towards the line now, 29.1.
Not too bad.
What lap time should he be setting, George?
Well, from time trials, the people in Tier 4 were looking at like mid 27s, so I would be thinking a low 28 would be pole, but maybe 28.5. That's a solid lap for a first one. Leon go P2 with a 1:28.6. That's solid. Marshall's coming up to the final chicane. to that really well.
We got Jay Hartnell crossing the line. He goes P5 with a 29.0, with Glowstick in P4 with a 28.8, a few hundreds away from Verona Flash, who puts his Haas into P3. We've got Leon in the Mercedes there with a 28.6. I think he's a few hundreds away. In fact, he's actually a tenth away from Bazza Fox, who currently takes pole by a tenth ahead of Leon. I think it was Bazza Fox who said last week that he will fare better at the Japanese Grand Prix in comparison to Panda. Those two had a big scrap at the Austrian Grand Prix, fighting out the whole race, and I think Panda came out on top of it ahead of Bazza, so Bazza will be looking to take that victory away from King Panda in the Haas there in P7, but good strong pace once again from both Haas boys. Has got Fandango.
Lovely lap from Fandango, 4 tenths quicker than P2. That is a really solid lap.
And he's 4 tenths quicker than Bazza, so he's put some distance between himself
Kyle
and
spun
Bazza.
At the on exit of the hairpin. Oh, Jesus, good job. There's ghosting on. He just backed right out into the middle of the track.
I think back in 2015 in qualifying where Carlos Sainz crashed there, I think he dipped a wheel on the outside and spun off into the wall, but I don't think Kvyat has done that this time round, so he managed to escape free. Just spun the car around. This is a slow speed corner, but if you get it wrong on the exit or the curb there, you can find yourself in the wall. So luckily he got away with that one, and you'll have to go again. Craigo is back in the pit lane with a 42.9, so not a representative lap time there from him, I'm afraid. He didn't go for a second lap time either, I don't think, so he's on the back foot with no lap time there. Along with the other guys, we've got both Aston Martins out there. Sofian, last week's podium sitter in P3, as I mistaken it for Duwell's wife, as we come through Dunlop for him. He makes it out there very nicely. Then let's see what the first sector has to offer him. I can't really see that. Was that a 31?
31.6.
Thank you.
Solid.
Thank you for that. Thank you, George. I can't really see because the view count's coming up, so I can't really see. He makes his way now towards the hairpin. Sergio Perez went off there in 2012. He had a bad pit stop as well, and he spun off there with the rear tyres not intact. I think he was fighting with Hamilton in that corner. I think he outbroke himself and spun off. We're coming to Spoon now. We saw Max Verstappen and Lewis. Too much curve there.
Turned in too early, I think. Also an exit as well. Aizen's also on a lap. Oh, he's just about to finish. He's taking a wide line into the final sector. That's a 1:28.3 P2. Solid lap again.
Solid lap there from the Ferrari driver who was fighting for a podium. He had a 3-second time penalty towards the end, along with his teammate, as they were both fighting Sofian, but couldn't quite do so. And yeah, when I was talking about Spoon, I was talking about Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel, who collided into Spoon right here, where Jay Hartnell is right now in that corner. Somebody just got the order.
P5.
Nice lap from him in the Williams. He's done 3 laps, by the way, George. What was your
already?
Yeah, what was your approach coming into qualifying? What would you have done? Would you have done like multiple laps on the same set?
In the dry, I'd have probably just stuck with the first lap starters, just done the 3 laps, bog standard. Make sure you get a decent banker in, don't push limits too much, and then second lap you go for a bit more. The way I do it, I just like kind of increase the pace a little bit more each lap, just so I definitely have a lap in. Oh, Roland almost got impeded there. 32.7 in the first sector.
And we've got Ian Marshall coming towards the line. He's 6 tenths improving that middle sector, goes P8, so he pops that Alpha inside the top 10. And he's currently just ahead of Verona Flash, who's on his outlap there. So we've got Dat Roland, still to set a lap time in the Alpine. Lozana Serra in P19, she'll still yet to set a lap time in the Mercedes. Mays, however, still in the pit lane as well. And 4 drivers won't set a lap time, including Polishman, who's retired from this session. Then best still start is P19, unless the guys behind don't have a lap time for whatever reason. But out there, I'm not really seeing too many mistakes where I thought there to be, especially down in the first sector where it was very easy to make a mistake through there, as I've seen so far in this session. Craigo, one of them, coming out of turn number 2, I think it was, and we saw Kvyat in P14 there, who had a spin cut at the hairpin. So those two have made a mistake, but other than that, not really seen too much.
Up to the line, that Roland is a 29.5. That is P13. I need to improve quite a bit if he wants to shot that pole position.
On a brand new set of soft compound tyres too, that Roland. So Kvyat is 1.8 seconds up in the first sector, as you expect. He's gone. I think this is his 3rd lap on a set of soft compound tyres, 3.9. So yeah, I think this is a a big improvement. Well, it's obviously an improvement because he spun last time out. So coming towards the chicane, then let's see how he takes this. Very nice. The back end of the car just wants to step out, but applies the throttle then as he makes his way now towards the line. It's a 29.7. Bearing in mind he did 3 laps on those set of soft pod tyres, so maybe they wore out, especially due to that spin as well. So hopefully he can find more time than that. King Panda, last week's race winner, coming up towards the first sector. Wow, 4/10 up in the first sector. His Haas teammate, by the way, both Haas's are quite together. So it looks like Verona Flash hasn't backed off, and this could be effective, isn't it, George?
Hold on. Sorry about that.
It's alright. Mays has retired from the session then, so his qualifying is done and dusted. But yeah, in the slow speed corners and mid speed corners, that's where Verona Flash will feel the effects of the dirty air, especially this corner as well. This left-hander, long looping left-hander, gets on the throttle. Then he'll get in the slipstream here, but Verona Flash sticking to his teammate, and King Panda looks like he's on a flyer then as he makes his way towards the end of the middle sector. It's going to be 1 second up. Can he find more time in this last sector? Needs to find about 3 more tenths in this last sector to secure pole position. Verona Flash is right behind. Mazzles has left once again. Here we come then towards the final corner as he makes his way now towards the finish line. What's he going to be? Ooh.
It's not bad. You can find half a tenth in that lap if he just goes more to the inside line at the end of the lap. Cuts off quite a large proportion of the track. Craiger goes P14 with a 29.6. Anyone else on flyers? Bazza SUFC is half tenth up, I think it said. Oh, no, that can't be right. He's still in the first sector.
Maybe on his previous best.
He's only in that. Don't think anyone's on a lap at the moment.
What about Lozana Zera down in P19 as she makes her way towards the hairpin? I think she's backed off, judging by
Fandango looks to be on a lap.
I told you he had good pace last season. Last race, sorry. 1/10 up in the middle sector.
Could have cut that more, I think. Down to second. That's a narrow line I was talking about, up to the line. 28 flat, that is a very good lap. Doesn't look to be anyone on a lap at the moment.
Craiger down in P14, still not on a lap time. He did set a representative lap time of a 29.6, so he got up to in the 29s, but I think he's on his end lap. What about Lozana Zera? I think we saw her back off. No, she's going for a lap time. Going into turn number 1, now turn number 2, then I think took too much curb, had to get out of the throttle before the car went around. But as we come in the first sector then, down into 5th gear she goes, now into, let's see, coming out of into Dunlop we go now, into 5th gear, 6th gear we go, on the throttle once again, avoiding the outside curb which will drag you off the track. And now we're coming towards the first Degner, the 50 metre board by the way, has been taken out, coming into the second Degner now. Very nice out of that one as we come into the hairpin, braking hard here in a straight line, trying to get it slowed down in time for the corner, widen the exit, get on the throttle without any wheel spin. Very nice there as we take a short line through here to minimise the distance as we make our way now towards Spoon. It's going to be, see how she takes it. Very nice for the first part and does the second part as well, using a lot of curb on the exit too. Gets on the throttle once again then, so it looks like the car is sticking with Lozana Zera as now she makes her way towards the end of the middle sector. It's going to be 11.7 then for the Mercedes driver, flat out through 130R as we make our way now into the heavy braking zone, breaking the 100 metre board. Down into 3rd gear she goes. She slightly misses the apex in the first part but connects well in the second part. Gets on the throttle then. Let's see what lap time she can put on the board. Oh, it's a 28.4.
It's not about that. That seemed minimal in terms of mistakes. I do think she might have a tenth or two in it, but that's a pretty solid lap if you ask me.
It is as well. Only 4 tenths away from Paul into P8, so that tells you how much the grid is impact as well. As we make our way now on Eisen as he makes his way through the first corner. They can carry a lot of speed, almost flat out in the first corner, but the back end just slightly wobbling coming out of turn number 2 into turn number 3. Too much speed, compromised into turn 4 and turn 5 as well for good measure. Into turn number 6 we go. Looks like he's got it all sorted out back online as well. Into turn 8 we go into Dunlop. 6th gear, flat out corner. And now as we make our way into the first Lesmo, then flick it in at the 50-meter board. So luckily there is a 50-meter board because the other one's got taken out, so there's one on the side of the track. It was nice as well coming out of the second Degner. As we make our way now into the hairpin, we go into third gear. This looks like a decent lap here from Eisen. A bit sluggish on traction, but obviously some of these guys are using maybe traction control, because if no traction you could just get out of the corner with no delay whatsoever. As we come into Spoon now, into sixth gear we go, slightly wide on entry, into the second part of Spoon, a bit wide, too wide, and that's his lap time
valid,
gone.
I think. Yep.
It's not valid to...
Roland's half a second up from the looks of it.
Let's have a
Coming
look.
into sector 3. Got the long left-hander down into the chicane. 6.7 tenths up, that's a lot of time to gain. He could be looking at like P7, P8 here if he gets the chicane right. Drops to third, uses a lot of curb, and on exit. Oh, Leon's retired. Doesn't surprise me, he always does. But Roland up to the line does a 28.7 P11, improved by like half a tenth in the final sector. I wonder what happened to Leon.
Yeah, so Leon, if you turn your full track map on, he crashed at the exit, I think before Dunlop or on it, I'm not quite sure, so he's out of the session, probably too much speed, or the car went out wide. But Draper has set a 28.9, so he finally gets into 29s, but only P14 unfortunately for him then. So we come to the closing stage of qualifying, already towards the end of qualifying. Those 16 minutes have gone flying by, and let's see who's on the lap time now. We've got that runner coming towards the end of the first set, but he's backed off anyway. King Panda in the house.
Yeah. Stays in sixth for the S's, doesn't drop, that's surprising. Takes a nice line through the left-hander. That looked like a solid first sector from what I saw, looking at a 31.9, he's a 10th down through the first sector. Drops to fourth on the coming up to the hairpin. Turns early in, down to third. Quite fast on the power. You might get a tow from the Ferrari ahead. Ferrari gets out of the way nicely, coming up to the double left-hander here. Drops down to sixth, bit hesitant there on entry. Drops to fourth, a nice exit if you can get it right on the curb. That is a pretty good second middle sector. Can he find that time that he lost in the first sector? He's 2.5 tenths down. That probably won't be enough for any improvement for King Panda, which will be nice to see for Fandango. Good rotation on the curb in the final corner. Up to the line, sets a 28.3, improved in the final sector, but ultimately a 10.5 down, he's not going to be competing with that.
And what about Bazza? Bazza's 3 tenths up in the first sector. 3 tenths up in the first sector alone is incredible, but the first Degner and the second part of the Degner didn't really look stable for him, as he lost the car a little bit on entry and exit, so might have lost a bit of time. Those 3 tenths might have disappeared a little bit there, but the hairpin was very nice coming out of that one. Carried a good speed, braked, and got on the throttle without any issues then, so he makes his way. Didn't really take a tight line through that part of the track, but coming into Spoon now, into 7th gear and down into 6th as well, into the second part of Spoon. Looks like he's carrying a lot of speed, and he looks like he's hooking it up as well, hitting the apex very nicely. And then Jay Hartnell's retired in turn number 2, so he is out of the session, and his middle sector 7 tenths up is Bazza, so keep an eye. In fact, Bazza's time will be the 27s if he keeps it up like this then, so everybody will have to watch out for him, as he might raise the bar even more. So here comes Bazza then coming out the final corner, and let's see what lap time he can set as qualifying's come to close. It's going to be a 27.6.
Oh, he's on pole position. That is a lap and a half.
Mate.
Look, Sofian looks to be on a good lap as well. Didn't quite see how much up in the first sector. 2.5 tenths up it looks like in the first sector for Sofian.
That's
See how
Palmer.
Palmer goes pole. Palmer goes pole by half a tenth.
Wow.
Fandango's also half a tenth up. Oh, I lost the rear on exit there at the end, on the exit of the hairpin.
I just called that too.
Anyone else? Rowan's not on a lap. The Alfa Romeo of Marshall's half a tenth up in P12. Crago's not on a lap. Kylett looks to be on a lap. Well, Fandango's coming to the final sector now. Can he get any improvements and try to steal back his pole position? He's a 10th up. He needs to find 3 tenths in the final sector if he wants to end on pole position.
I know Palmer's been sweating.
Oh, he's gone deep in there. from the marble on his tyres, I reckon. But he's going to abandon the lap and pit. That's P4 for him.
I think he knew.
Goes.
I think he knew that lap time wasn't great anyways. Marshall in P6 then, so gets into the top 6 with a 28.0. But Palmer there picking up pace at the final moments of qualifying, takes pole position by 400 of a second there ahead of Bazza. So Bazza looking for his first win. He looked like he was about to take his first pole until Palmer snatched it away at the very last moment then, so he takes pole position. Sophia doing a fantastic job once again. Last week's podium sitter who finished in P3, looking to go 2 places better, try and get the win. Lozana Zera, what a fantastic qualifying from her as well in the Mercedes, and that's qualifying done and dusted. I will go to the toilet and come back immediately. You could continue talking, George.
Yeah, we'll do. That was a pretty good qualifying session, I think. I reckon the top 7 or 8 still have a chance of winning the race. It's going to be a really interesting race. Japan isn't so much a track you can overtake much in. You can overtake a bit at turn 1 if you go around the outside, but I reckon that will be a pretty exciting turn 1 as well, with only half a second competing between the top 7, with Leon in P8 after crashing out on his first lap, the second week in a row for him to do that. So Williams on pole, followed by the McLaren and Aston Martin. Happy for me to see the Aston Martins up there, seeing as though I am part of Aston Martin. Fandango P4 at one point, looking like he was going to be on pole. The Mercedes in P5 of Iosa. Marshall P6, King Panda P7, Leon P8, A's in P9, Verona Flash P10. The Red Bull of Jay Hartnell in P11, Dat Roland in P12, Glowstick 13th, Mazzles 14th, That Go Draper in 15th, Craigo 16th, Kyle in 17th, Polishman and Maisie only 2 not to set a lap in the bottom 2. So going into this now, we will look for, I reckon it's going to be quite interesting with not many teams having 2 drivers up there. Can I have a look at the race director? We've got the Mercedes, the only 2 that are in the top 10, I think. Is Haas's 7th and 10th, Aston Martin's 3rd and 17th. And it's a Williams sandwich with Palmer on pole and May starting in P19. Neither Alpha Tower is really troubling in the top 10 in 14th and 18th, with Polishman not even setting a lap. Craigo in the McLaren alongside his teammate Bazza SUFC Fox, who are 2nd and 16th. But yeah, the strategy, it looks pretty split, with a split of softs and mediums. I doubt they'll be able to... Well, I did a trial run a couple of days ago and it looked to be like there was a potential for soft mediums if you nurture the tyres, because the hards seem to last about 17-18 laps. So you'd think the softs maybe 10 laps at a push and the mediums can potentially do 17 laps. But I do think the likelihood will be a 1 stop. I don't see any benefit from a 2 stop barring safety cars. A late safety car might tempt a few people into box late on, but not
there are the lights
sure
then.
From the grid of last week.
No formation lap, so here are the lights then.
Okay.
As we're about to make our way. Here we go then, lights are away for round number 2. Palmer gets a decent start off the line. He maintains the lead of the race then with Bazza in P2. The Aston Martin there, as we've got the Alpine and Mercedes side by side, heading to turn number 1 then. 2 groups going side by side here, with Fandango going around the outside there too. And Sophia goes up into P3. If Lozana Zera is defending from Panda, Panda is in P6, so couldn't really get the jump he wanted off Lozana Zera. We've got the Ferrari there getting out of shape, and that's the Alfa Romeos. No, Ferrari, sorry, I'm on the wrong board there. That's Eisen in P8 there, get out of shape, but he maintains P7 for himself, and Palmer then gets a very clean start, unchallenged it seems at the start of the race. And we've got a few soft runners, which is very interesting. Realise the soft runners were going to be introduced into this race.
7 soft runners. I was saying, but while you were gone, it could potentially be a 1 stop involving softs. I think the tyre deg round Japan looks to be relatively low. There are 7 soft runners, only 2 hard runners than the rest on the medium compound side.
Big crash there. That's Glowstick on Leon there, both going into the wall, and a safety car has been deployed immediately then. That's a massive crash there. Looks like they both connected wheels and both straight into the wall, both of them there. That was a Mercedes as well, who also went off the track there, but obviously with a separate instance. So Glowstick and Leon then, unfortunately for Glowstick there, and Leon there too. Leon showing some good pace back in the Austrian Grand Prix, but he's currently out of the race, and out of the session is Mazzles then. He's fighting with his internet connection, unfortunately. Fandango has gone off the track there. What's happened to him? That's quite unusual. just plane went off the track at the exit of 130R then. So
what happened in the crash? I didn't see anything. I just saw two cars flying in the air. I didn't see anything. What happened?
You saw Leon in the Mercedes flying. That's who you saw flying. He just went on top of board of Glowstick's car, but I'm not quite sure who's at fault.
I'm sure there'll be some interesting messages in the paddock chat.
So that's interesting then. I've really seen this scenario before with softs and mediums both split with a few hard runners such as Jay Hart now. He's gone on to softs to hard, so I'm not quite sure how good or bad the tyre wear is around Suzuka. In fact, I actually do know now because I raced around here a few weeks ago. So I think the strategy is hards to mediums or mediums to hards, but some of these guys have opted to go to soft compound tyres, so that's very interesting then, including Palmer. He's on soft compound tyres, hence why he might have had a good start off the line ahead of Bazza, who remained unchallenged at the front then. Sofian's gone on the soft compound tyres too, along with Eisen and Dat Ronan down there in P8 and P9. Mazel's also on the soft compound tyre, well his AI is anyways.
I was doing a trial run around Japan. I think potentially he could go soft medium. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe Jay Hartnell's boxed on these hard and seen how long he can take them. Because if there's another safety car, that'd be perfect for him to just jump into the box and put on a new set of softs or mediums.
Softs might go about 10 or 11 laps depending how many safety cars there are as well, and when the safety car comes out obviously, so that's quite interesting around here, around Japan. Bearing in mind though, in the last games I've raced around here in Japan, the tyre wear hasn't particularly been too bad, but last game I think mediums to hards or hards to medium was the norm around this track, or any track indeed, and it's obviously going to be a one stop. Might be a two stop now with the soft fillers coming into play, so I wonder how the pan is out. Maybe a soft to hard towards the end, maybe the soft medium can't go depending how many safety cars will come out as well, so that might come into play. But Jamie, who's not even going to read that out, and lap 2 then the safety car will come in next lap as 3 laps will pass by when a safety car goes in.
I do think there's a possibility of those softs ending still in a one stop, especially with the safety cars. I think the hards will go quite a distance. I think the strategy seems quite an interesting one compared to most tracks, especially 50%. I think the strategy could play quite a big part in this race.
And incidents are known around here too with the track difficulty as well, so incidents at any part of the track might have caused a safety car and changed people's strategies as well. I had it myself when I've been in a race, and the safety cars came at the wrong time, so for these drivers' sake, depending on what tyre you are at the right time, you've got to be on the right tyre at the right time. Obviously you can't predict when the safety car comes out, you can't help it either, so you just got to be in the right place at the right time to pit when the safety car comes out. But we'll see what happens later on in this race. And Scott there trying to get me into trouble by reading the comment out, but I'm not going to fall for that one, Scott. And the safety car for the first time in this race on lap 1 due to Glowstick and Leon crash now, both on different tyres, softs and hards. Looks like Glowstick got around the outside of Leon. I'm actually going to watch that back, you know, to see what actually happened between those two, because it happened so thick and fast. Wasn't able to take in what happened.
I didn't see anything to do with it. I just saw 2 cars flying in the air. Let's see if I can get it back up on the stream.
Oh, so I don't know. That's a tough one, you know. Looked like Leon turned into Glowstick. That's true, because Glowstick, he was on the right hand side of the track. He had literally nowhere to go. He just took his racing line, and Leon there, like you said, AJ, just turned right in. Yeah, that is true. Leon did turn right, not acknowledging that Glowstick was there, and they both hit each other and unfortunately went off into the barrier together and ended their marriage right there. So, race ending moment.
I'm still seeing if I can see it.
Lap 1 coming out of the hairpin.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one. Oh, yeah. That was sort of on the straight. Let me watch that again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Glowstick there, but Leon there probably did a bit more spatial awareness.
Yeah. I think Leon had a lot of space on the left hand side of that track, and Glowstick was right on the curb. I think Leon could have given him a bit more space, especially with Glowstick getting a better exit out the hairpin.
Anyways, the safety cars came in and Palmer will control this race. He leaves it very late and he gets a very good launch as well, leaving Bazza behind to defend from Sophia. Sophia's on the soft compound tyres, so he'll be hoping to get past Bazza. If he could do so, it could be quite difficult around this track anyways, as Bazza's looking to stay within the 1 second range of DRS or Palmer, despite being on the medium compound tyre. If he could do that, that'll pay dividends for his race later on in the race as well when he switches over to the soft compound tyres. But strategy will be very interesting indeed to see if it could be a 1 or 2 stop around here. Maybe they'll do soft to hards, those soft runners, not make it a 2 stop, because 2 stop any track will be very slow unless the safety car obviously comes into play later on in this race as well. As we make our way without a Dunlop, it's the first I'm about to say Lesbo, which I did in fact. You see that on Bobber Panda? Oh, look at this. I think Sophia's got a much better exit on a second Degner, and we're about to go side by side now into the hairpin. Sophia's around the outside, picks up some marbles, gets a much better traction coming out of there, and this is how you should do it, Glowstick and Leon. Coming out of the hairpin. Sophia overtaking Bazza into P2 they go. Wow, what a fantastic move there from Sophia.
That's good for me to see, being an Aston Martin boy myself. Got to get those constructors points up, being P4 at the moment. It's quite expected seeing Sofian get up into P2 there with being on the soft compound tyre. Bazza would be smart not to fight this. He looks like he's going to try to come back though. He's not using overtake, but he's just got such a good slipstream. Sofian goes defensive. Oh, bit of moving there. It's an interesting. Takes a lot of curb there. Bazza, can he get a better exit?
No,
Sofian loses the back. Oh, that's a lot of rear end loss.
It is indeed, and here comes Lazada Zera, and they might take on the Aston Martin too. Might do a double overtake here. Lazada Zera will go up into P2 here. Oh, Sophia takes the outside line there and stays around the outside too. Boozer stays in P2 as well. Lazada Zera tried to take both of them on, but only could take on Bazza, as Sophia was brave enough to stick it around the outside. I thought Lazada Zera would have them both, but it looks like she backed off, you know. I thought she lifted off slightly when they were side by side, so that could have cost her. I'm not quite sure if she didn't want to go side by side to turn 1 and turn number 2, so that might cost her a little bit, but these three continue to fight like this. Fandango's got past Panda in the most unusual place, so Panda must have made a mistake somewhere. Oh, Fandango's lost it, and here comes Panda. And look at this, Marshall. Oh no, no contact.
The Ferrari's lost a wing. That looked like a brake test from someone.
It wasn't a brake test, it was Fandango losing traction and tried to correct the car. Here comes that running around the outside, but they're both tucked in the slipstream behind the Alfa Romeo Marshall. This is going to get ever so close here for that running up the inside, but I think
gone wide. That'll be the wing damage.
And Eisen there, losing so much downforce in that middle sector, is not able to get on the track as Ferrari Flash there got the door closed in his face there, unfortunately, but thankfully no sustained damage for either of them. And Eisen there might have to come in the pit lane as Fandango has gone off the track there, and almost did a Roman Grosjean there and come back on the track unsafely. I think that was actually who was it? Raikkonen and Verstappen back in 2018. I'm not quite sure who it was, but here comes Marshall then on Fandango. Fandango used the ERS to stay ahead there. Fandango outbroke himself defending from King Panda.
Getting a wing change and onto the medium compound tyres. He'll be hoping for a safety car now because he will be quite a distance behind. Let me have a look. Detail. It's quite a large gap now. It's not updated yet because he's in the pit lane, but it'll be at least 15 seconds to the gap to P16 now, especially with that wing change.
Yeah, that's a fortunate phase in there. An innocent bystander. Fandango lost traction, but look, who's that? That's Sofian in the gravel there. Must have broke himself in the second Degner. We've seen plenty of people go off there. It's such a nasty corner through. You carry a lot of speed in the first Degner, have to slow it down for the second one. More yellow flags there.
Someone spun into who it was, or lost the rear badly because there was a lot of positions gained. I think it was Draper.
Yeah, it was Draper. He fell from P12 to P16, I think. And Fandango's almost gone off the track there, cut out of Spoon there. And Fandango there looks like he had strong qualifying pace, but race pace struggling just a little bit as Draper has overtaken Craig. So coming to 130R now as we head into the final two corners then, into the chicane we go. Fandango's a bit too far back and Sophia's been tapped by the Alfa Romeo of Marshall. And Sophia, for the second time in a row, is in a spin. Off the track he goes. And a few people just misjudging their braking zones as Fandango has got past King Panda for P4. A few people misjudging their braking zones ever so slightly into the chicane as Jay Hartnell is overtaking Mays for P10. But yeah, a few people making mistakes.
That's a real shame for Sophie, and she seemed to have a lot of good pace, especially being up in the P3. She's absolutely drained the ERS, so it'll be difficult to get back through the pack now.
Yeah, especially on the soft compound tyres too.
Yeah.
Mazel's is right behind.
Wasted him. Polishman's looking to go down the inside of Mays here, going into not the most conventional overtaking place. He'll try to get a good exit here to go into the entry of the hairpin. He doesn't, loses the race slightly. Mays will be alright for this next corner. Draper gets a track limits penalty. That's going from bad to worse for him.
And once again, King Panda is right behind. You can see that Fandango has used a lot of ERS trying to overtake Panda. Panda has got a lot of ERS to disposal to play with then, so he could just play around there.
Oh, he's forced him off trial. No, he's backed off. Mays backed off. They were side by side going into the double left-hander. But on exit, Polishman gets a bad exit. Mays is going to deploy the overtake here. Try to use the slipstream to his advantage, try to get past. Is he going to go for it before the corner? He is. And gets the job done with ease, not so much. Lets off the power quite a lot there.
Straight that speed proved to be good there for the Williams. Look at Panda flies past Fandango, no response there from Fandango. I can't respond with anything really. And look at that, the Alfa Romeo Marshall going around the outside. That road is still there on the inside. They're going side by side into turn number 2. That was so close to contact. That road is losing the car. And here comes the flash. And using his head has backed out of it. But you can see him struggling as he applies the throttle. They're trying to take advantage as that Roland was put on the curb into turn number 2. You don't want to go in the curb on turn number 2 or any curb really, because it will upset the car. And as you saw, losing the back of the car, which almost allowed for a flash to come through, but that Roland had it covered.
I'm sort of expecting the soft runs to start slowing down a bit. The tyres will start to die off 7 laps old. The mediums will be coming into their own now, and the hards will start to come up to pace as well. We'll probably expect to see the gap between Ioza and Palmer to drop from that 2.7. She'll be desperate to get into that DRS.
Palmer holding his own out there with a 2.9 second gap, but can Zera try and close it down, bearing in mind though she's got Bazza Fox all over the back of her, so she's got to watch out there for Bazza. They're both on the same tyres as well. Bazza going for his first for the season as Panda took away from him in Austria. It was a race towards the end, and I think Panda did the undercut on Bazza as Bazza stayed out there one more lap later, but this time in this race he's ahead of Panda, looking to try and win. But Jay Hartnell then has overtaken Kiliet into the chicane as he moves himself up into P9 now ahead. And Bazza Fox right behind Lazada Zera, but can't quite make the move as he runs out of straight. So got to try and get again the next lap. But all that
coming back.
Who's coming back?
Kyla overtakes Jay Hartnell as well as Sophie and getting past Mays. There's some 2 good moves from both Aston Martins there, getting into the points positions for Sophie, and should be looking to try and improve after that's the double spin in the same lap.
Sophia now on A-lap old softs. They might be towards the end of the performance, as the hard medium runners will be much better at this stage of the race. As you can see there, Kyla's taking a lot of different lines coming out of that corner as we go into the first and second Degner, sorry. So I'm not really commentating around this track for a long time, so when I say first and second, I think of the Lesmos and Monza, but this is Japan, so I've got to try and put it in my head. But bearing in mind though, Palmer is actually extending the gap towards Lazana Zera. The gap was 2.9 to 3.2 there, so looks like he's got some decent pace still on those soft compound tyres to try and pull away, but I expect those softs then to die ever so slowly as Mazel's has overtaken Mays. I think he's actually in the session as Mazel's after leaving quite a few times as the Aston Martin Sophia then goes off the track. I think his tyres are starting to wear out too as he just understeered off the track as Fandango right to the back of Panda's gearbox there. But as we head into the chicane, and Panda has him covered, but will he though down the straight? That's the question. And what about
strength of the DRS?
Indeed it is. Look at Bazza Fox then. Lazada Zera goes to the right hand side, forcing Bazza to go to the left hand side, but has him covered. And here comes Fandango on Panda. Fandango goes off the track.
That was the marbles from the inside line. I think the outside line into turn 1's much better than the inside line. You get the better exit as well as not having marbles on your tyres for the extra grip.
A few people struggling at turn number 2. We just saw an Aston Martin, or I saw, but Polishman's going side by side with an Aston Martin.
Oh, he's been taken out. Oh, spinning off the back wheel.
I don't think you want to be going side by side to the first. Let's.
Oh no! What happened?
Marshall's crashed. He's out of the race.
Safety car.
He's crashed at the exit Dunlop.
I bet I haven't seen it, but I bet that was an overcorrect into a spin into an overcorrect. Because I did that on Friday in a different league around this track, but that's a shame for both Alfa Romeos out now, and it brings out the virtual safety car. Always see anyone pitting. You'd like to think that with some of the soft runners coming in now, there's nobody near the pits.
It depends if the virtual safety car stays out long enough for the guys on the softs to make pit stops, but will it though? Because DRS is enabled then, so we get racing once again, so no more virtual safety car as it's disappeared very quickly this race. Usually it'd be a safety car, but obviously the game not being very accurate with its crashing, that would have been a safety car.
Side by side. Forces King Panda off the track, they're side by side going into the chicane. Fandango will have the inside line onto, they touch wheels. As just enough space given. Panda will probably get this move done because of the DRS that he got. They're still side by side going to turn 1. Fandango does have that outside line, but it's not enough for the DRS. The DRS around here is just way too strong. As we have 2 drives coming into the pits of both. Oh, the Aston Martins will be double stacking.
Why?
There's no idea, but it's not a wing change, but it'll still be quite a lot of time lost for Sofian. The Tier 5 reserve driver will not be best friends with their teammate right now.
With Sofian on the soft compound tyres, I would have thought
Yes.
Kyler would have been extending his stint, especially on the mediums as well, so I wonder why Kyler's
We've gone on
pitted.
hards. I'm guessing it'll be to the end, but it's interesting. Sofian's onto medium, so she's committing to the 2-stop.
I think Sofian was behind Kyler in the pit lane, so I think he should have extended his stint a little bit by one more lap.
One lap, yeah.
Or Kyler should have extended his stint because he was on the
I think
medium
Kyler
compound
should have.
tyres. But once again, we see the battle between Fandango and Panda as they continue scrapping over for P4. However, last lap, Bazza overtaking Lazada Zero on the straight, same when King Panda overtook Fandango then, so 2 battles going on there on the straight as they have those 2 groups separated, and fights for P2, P3 and P4, P5 then, so they're separated on the medium compound tyres of course. That road instead of the soft compound tyres, all 3 tyre compounds being used, which is the best strategy. Will Fandango? No, he won't because he knows the DRS.
Oh, the touch! Fandango and King Panda. Fandango brakes slightly too late and badly loses the rear on exit as King Panda makes his way into the pits. I think Fandango just slightly outbroke himself and went into the rear wing of Panda. Hopefully there's no damage there. As SUFC Fox drops onto the hard compound tyres. Panda onto the hard as well. Both of those 2 onto the hard tyres.
Do you know what I find interesting? Those 2 medium runners, Draper and Panda, Bazza and Panda, sorry, those 2 on the mediums and Panda's on the softs, Palmer's on the softs. So Palmer on the soft compound tyres is able to extend his stint despite being on those old soft compound tyres, which more surely must be crying at this stage of the race. Maybe his setup's very good as well, maybe his tyre saving is very good, despite having to fight nobody yet in this race after the guys behind are squabbling over positions. But will he have to box now to respond to Panda and Bazza too, as Bazza's rejoined behind the Haas Polishman, so he wants to dispatch the Haas AlphaTauri as very quickly as he can as Panda. Draper's picked up a 3-second time penalty.
It's very impressive from Palmer being able to maintain that 3.5 seconds. He's extended it since I last talked about it, with a 3.5 second gap on those 11 lap softs, which must be absolutely destroyed by this point. He's also draining the ERS. I think we'll expect him to pit this lap, I think, with him seems to be pushing very hard.
Got to surely, as Polishman is right at the back of Draper, who's
Staying
also got Bazza. Oh, that's all, he almost lost the car coming out of Spoon there, but Bazza's got a really good exit then, overtaking the AlphaTauri and overtaking the Ferrari then, so that's very crucial there. As you can see, Polishman's right behind the Ferrari too, looking to overtake, but can't quite do so on that occasion. Got to stick and wait for the DRS. But what about Draper? I thought he would go up the inside here, but Polishman's around the outside, gets to the grass as well, the side by side going into the chicane here, but Draper has the outside line, but
he's gone. He's out. That is massive for the people that haven't pitted yet. Draper out the session. I didn't see much of it.
He just lost the car.
Last minute.
He just lost the car and throttle. But Palmer, that is a dream for him, being on the soft compound tyres, able to pit now without losing any sort of time. Safety car has came at the right time for him as well, so he would be very happy about that one. able to go to the medium compound tyres and take them towards the end, which I didn't expect him to do on the soft compound tyres. But it looks like that strategy is working very well for him as well. So he's got a massive advantage over the others.
That'll be frustrating for those who have just pitted, like that Roland, Mazzles, and SUFC Fox. They'll have lost so much time. Bazza, especially after being onto those hard compound tyres, he looked pretty fast on those tyres on the first stint. He'll be very frustrated there. He'll have to drop to at least, probably P4, I would say. He might be, but surely Palmer's going to pit this lap alongside the.
It was like in Mexico. You were in that race too at the Mexico Grand Prix.
Jesus, don't remind me.
No, I'm not talking about what happened, but the first stint he was in the race and he was very quick. Then the second stint he just lost pace, so hopefully that don't happen to him this time round. And I think he's still looking for his first win of the season, or first win as I've seen so far. Lozano Zera is in the pit lane. If Palmer could take those 13 laps, these guys going on to the mediums to the hards actually. So I thought Lozano Zera will go on the soft compound tyres, but it looks like she can't do that. As Fandango's in the pit lane on the medium compound tyres for on a flash, however, they stayed out there on 13 lap old mediums, which is very he pitted. Sorry, I just saw him jump the queue, so I assumed he stayed out. But his garage is at the very end, being at the Haas team, so that's why he jumps a few people. But he's back where he is now on the hard compound tyres. So the situation is, Polishman stayed out there on the 13 lap old mediums. By the way, he hasn't pitted yet. I don't think has Polishman. Let's have a look.
Nope. Oh, I might not. He might have boxed lap 1 actually.
He hasn't.
Has he not? It's interesting. Why would he stay out? Is he banking onto the safety car? But those medium tyres must be on their last legs.
You say about the mediums, but what about the softs as well? I thought they would be in the punchy territory zone.
Not a single driver on the softs on this stint. Palmer's quite a few of the drivers that started on softs have gone to medium, so maybe they can. I reckon they'll be able to keep those tyres alive until the end of the race. I think a medium soft strategy looked like the best one.
Or soft medium in terms of Palmer's case, because
well, yeah, soft medium. Apologies.
If Palmer is able to take those 13 laps, then surely he could take these mediums towards the end, which will be about 12 or 11 laps under the safety car too. So that'd be very interesting to see how he does it. But Bazza
with
on
the lower
2
fuel as well.
Bazza was looking to do the undercut on Lozano Zera, but couldn't do that because the safety car came at the wrong time for him. So staying out there 2 laps extra, Lozano Zera has worked out in her favour to stay ahead of Bazza with the safety car timing too. So Bazza did get stuck behind 2 cars, but dispatched him very quickly. But unfortunately, the safety car came out at the wrong time for him to do the undercut on Lozano Zera. So looks like he's going to have to try and fight on track. But the difference is 2 lap older tyres, which should make a difference or not. I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out. If Lozano Zera can keep hold of P2, she's done an incredible job keeping Bazza behind. But can she try and keep him behind much longer as she's trying to go for her first podium of the season? It is his second race as well.
Oh, Mace is retired.
Wow.
I think he just lost the rear on the safety car. I didn't see what happened, but it looked like he just lost the rear on the safety car and just spun into the barriers. That's a real shame for Mays. He was in a pretty decent position to look for some points. Not sure how he's managed that, but it's maybe similar to what George Russell did at Imola in 2021 and Grosjean at Baku, I think it was.
George Russell.
It's a shame for him.
George Russell did it in 2020. 2021 is when he crashed into Bottas in the second.
Oh, was it 2020 the safety car?
Well, both safety cars came out at 2020 and 2021. It was actually a red flag because there was loads of damage and there was loads of debris on the track.
And Romain Grosjean crashed under safety car in 2018. 2018. I need to catch up on my knowledge.
It's alright.
That's a shame for Mays though. Looking like he could have got a decent points finish.
It all in the palm of Palmer to try and gain the most points. Obviously he's got the most points at the moment, being the race lead. Been in the race lead ever since lap 1. Hasn't looked back ever since, but now the pack has been bunched up once again now, and so he's got to look over his shoulders. Bearing in mind though, he's on the medium compound tyres in comparison to everybody else, who's majority of them behind on the softs, hard sorry. whereas Polishman's on the old mediums, so he would be a threat with the older mediums. But I wonder then if anybody could challenge Palmer at the front, which I didn't think I'd be saying tonight, but Palmer's done a fantastic job as both Hasses swapping positions there. But Panda's ahead of Runner Flash there, so I'm not quite sure what's happened between those two.
It's been a really impressive drive from Palmer. He's also got the fastest lap by quite a considerable amount, looking at in fact 9/10 to the only person going anywhere near it is in last place actually, Sofian, who did a 31.1, but a 30.2 in the race. That's pretty impressive, especially on the first stint. I know it's on the soft compound tyre, but either way, that's a quite impressive feat to do.
Practice makes perfect, and that's exactly what Palmer's done, because I know he's been practicing ever since last night about 11 o'clock, so he's been on the game and practicing for Japan, and it's turned out well. Didn't get the victory he wanted last season, I don't think, but he could do it with Japan tonight if I don't jinx him. But anyways, got a lot of work to do with 12 laps left in this race. The race has flown by so far with 15 laps in. I think they ended the first safety car where it all kicked off, but here goes Palmer again, getting a really good restart, and nobody's able to challenge him at the front then, so he maintains the lead of this race. I expect Polishman to fall down ever so slightly with those medium compound tyres attached, but here comes Panda with Fandango, but can't quite make a move. However, we did see before the safety car Panda pit first, but Fandango, we saw that was a mistake with the final corner, but when the safety car came out he actually jumped Panda, and look at that, you can see Polishman struggling ever so slightly on the AlphaTauri, as the AlphaTauri will be slower in these corners, but Fandango will get a lovely exit in comparison to Polishman, as Polishman tries to defend this one, but you can be very careful with people on older tyres because it's so easy to come into contact. They're carrying more speed than guys on older tyres, but Panda's still looking right in the back of Fandango as those two continue their long squabble. Is anybody? Oh, there's an RP off the track there. Who's that? That's that Ronan who's got off the track. I'm not quite sure if he made contact with the Haas there. And here's Ferrada Flash alongside Kyler.
Coming back on the track as well, the Ferrari.
Oh no!
Oh! King Panda.
What was that then, I wonder? Did Fandango leave enough room? Or was that optimistic for Panda? I only saw the aftermath, so I'm not quite sure.
Same, I was just scrolling through and saw Haas just flying off the track. I'm sure there'll be something about that at the end. I wonder what Polishman's pit strategy is now, because he's lap 16, he's in a good position track-wise, but as soon as he pits, he's going to be right back down towards the back, following safety car. He's got Kyle with it's a really impressive drive from Kyle, 11 positions gained, but a 3-second penalty, that'll be detrimental to his race end.
Fandango's gone alongside Polishman, and Polishman's 4th place is short-lived because of those older compound tyres, and we'll have to fall into P5 now. How long can he stay there, I wonder, with the old compound tyres he's sustained? He'll go medium soft for sure, but he'll lose a lot of time doing that strategy with the whole field bunched up. Will he have enough time to close up towards the end of the race on those soft compound tyres? I'm not quite sure. As you can see, loads of marbles being picked up offline as well. Those marbles will cost you hugely, and Hazen on the curb there, the XR Dunlop. That roll is also involved with the McLaren making contact going into Dunlop, heading to the first Degner, but Craigo has him covered for the time being. Those two had a bit of a messy scrap into Dunlop as Dark Ronan does the switch back. But here comes Kyler down the inside. That's Jay Harnell on the Haas there. Didn't outbrake himself, and he kept the car intact as well. Ahead of Verona Flash for the time being, but Verona Flash might come back through on the inside, both using the ERS then. Jay Hartnell on the medium compound tyres. We've seen loads of people make contact here. Will the second Haas go off the track in the same place? No, he won't. And Verona Flash keeps the position for the time being. Panda, however, won't be going for the second victory in a row because he's been taken out and he's down in P13, so that's his chance of winning done and dusted. And Baza then, who was fighting last week, will have a chance, but he has to fight Lozada Serra. Those two in a battle ever since the start of the race then, as Kyler might go down the inside, in the chicane we go. It's so tight as the Haas breaks itself once again. Look at Jay Harnell around the outside. The Haas make contact with the AlphaTauri. The Haas is losing places left, right, centre. Kyler pulls to the left hand side and moves ahead of Polishman then for P5.
I mean, I think Polishman could have given Kyle a bit more space on the entry to that chicane. He seems to squeeze him off a bit, but Kyle gets the job done eventually. He needs to push on as fast as he can now to try and build up that 3-second gap, because Polishman is on used tyres. He'll be a lot slower. If he can pull away now from Polishman, he might be able to have a chance of that P5 position. But Polishman will most likely be in the pits very soon.
Now it's Jay Hartnell's turn to overtake Polishman and he needs to overtake him as quickly as he can so he can continue his fight with Kyler, who's on the hardcore powered tyres. So Jay Hartnell will be quick at this stage in comparison to Kyler, but let's see how he's made a move down the inside last time. After the second time in a row, we might do it. Going side by side now into the hairpin we go. Jay Hartnell doesn't have the better exit because the inside line, the outside line is much better with traction, so he has to stay behind for the time being.
Jay Hartnell does seem to be the closest battle so far. Mazel's right behind him, a 2/10 between each of them. Jay Hartnell goes slow through the exit of the double left-hander. Always contact between the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull.
I think Jay Hartnell was being cautious because he saw the AlphaTauri going off the track with his older tyres. Look at that! I think there's no contact there. It just punished by didn't have the grip through 130R, and now he's being hunted down by the rest of them. Yeah, he has to now.
There, and that might be damage.
He's a danger to himself now.
Damage, yeah. He's coming to the pits, but I don't understand why he didn't pit on the safety car.
Could have got the soft powered tyres, but
exactly.
he's only got 8 laps to go.
He'll be on the soft tyres now, but he'll be a significant amount behind now.
With 8 laps to go in this race, unlikely to catch up unless there's another safety car. Bear in mind, if there is another safety car, these boys might be able to go with the soft powered tyres too. But that's unfortunate there from Jay Hartnell. He's been very, I think, too cautious there, quit out of speed, because he saw Punishman go out wide thinking he might go with a spin and Jay Hartnell might collect him, but that wasn't the case. Punishman saved the car. Jay Hartnell lost 2 positions in the process with Kyler and Mazel, so unfortunate there for him. He has to gains those back as quickly as he can, and Mazel's coming out of nowhere really, because he was down outside the top 10 most of the race, but he's back now with P6 on the medium compound tyres, hunted down Kyler with the Red Bull right behind of Jay Hartnell too, so that's a good battle going on between P5, P6 and P7 there.
Azonis, I can't pronounce it, Iozana Osara, however you say that, is keeping the gap to Palmer quite significantly with the worst tyres on the hards. Those mediums only get worse, so there could still be a battle for the win at the end.
Mazel's has overtaken Kyler, but that's before 130R, so looks like he had the straight line speed to blast past the Aston Martin, sorry. But the Aston Martin will have DRS now, crucially for the DRS as well to defend against Jay Hartnell. He's on the medium compound tyres surrounded by, or he's on the hard surrounded by mediums then, so looking to try and keep up with those guys if he can do so. But the mediums will be better at the stage of the racing compounds. The hards in the background, we can see the Aston Martin Sevian getting past A's in there for P10. He's had a few excursions himself, spinning twice.
A good recovery drive though from him. Going back from P15, I think it was, after the safety car. He could quite easily still get in the top 5.
You can see the guys, all 4 of them just ahead. 5th place is right there in the distance, but however, Kyler had a mistake coming out of Dunlop there. And look at the Hasselhoff flash. You don't want to fight through here, surely not, because that is too tight, too fast into that corner. You're prone for contact. We saw the first set.
Oh, that rolling goes off slightly. Touches his left wheel into the gravel.
Oh,
the drivers behind will be loving to see this aggressive battle going on, knowing that they can catch up.
We've got a second Hasselhoff flash. They're going side by side with Jay Hartnell. Remember what happens to the other Hasselhoff? They got spun there, but Verona Flash then doesn't suffer the same fate as Jay Hartnell actually tapped the back of the Aston Martin in the hairpin. But you can see the difference in speed then these guys are carrying, a difference in confidence as well, with the tyres being attached to the car. Mediums are obviously quicker at this stage of the race, but Verona Flash is still there on the hard compound tyres, by the way. Jay Hartnell's losing a lot of time to Mazel's. Mazel's able to pull away and break the DRS with these guys fighting, so they cost themselves a lot of time. As Jay Hartnell versus Verona Flash with Sophia around the outside. Oh no! Oh, Jay Hartnell spun! Oh. He spun in the pit lane! And that's his chances ruined then, as he falls outside the top 10. Verona Flash, we might go 3 wide in the straight.
Oh no. Flash backed out of it. I'm expecting to be a battle towards the end. It looks like the Mercedes in P2 is gaining on Palmer, gained 4/10 last lap. If he can just get into that DRS, she'll have such good pace on the straights to gain on him.
The gap is about 1.4. As long as Bazza doesn't keep hardening her, for P2, let her catch up towards Palmer and be in that DRS train. So I think Pazza might have backed off a little bit to try and let Lozano Zera to get some breathing space. Bear in mind though, he's outside the 1 second range of DRS, so he doesn't want to back out too much. However, Fandango's still there, by the way, after his misfortunes at the start of the race. He's still there for P4, so podium could be on the table for him. I know he struggled a little bit on the medium compound tyres the first stint, but looks like he's came back now as Lozano Zera is 1.2 seconds away from Palmer then, so Palmer could find himself in a bit of a bother despite leading the whole race and being in control of it. I think the hard compound tyres could be favoured towards near the end of the race on Palmer's mediums, so might see a battle for P1 if Lozano Zera can keep this pace up. That's good tactics there from Bazza if he has decided not to hound Lozano Zera and allow it to catch up to Palmer. Let it be a fight for the lead.
Interesting to know, the Mercedes in P2 has a lot more ERS than Palmer, who only has 14%. That'll be a big factor to play right at the end of the race.
And if Palmer doesn't have any ERS left to play with on the straight towards the end, Lozano Zera could find herself in a really good position behind him, use that ERS to blast past him towards the latter stages of this race though, so that could be a spicy battle for P1 going on. So Palmer has to be aware and try and keep that gap over a second, because once you're in the DRS of somebody, that's it, you can't really pull away. But this track you might, because it is only one DRS zone around here. The gap extended to 1.5.
Oh, Safian's out. It's horrible to see for me being Aston Martin, but lost the rear on exit of the final corner of Sector 1. That's the Aston Martin out of the race, and this is bad for the people that have 3 second time penalties, but Polishman's looking in a good position now, being on those fresh softs.
I think, what will these guys do?
Very interesting.
What would these guys at the top do? Obviously Palmer can't afford to give away that track position, so maybe the guys further down might go for a pit stop. We've got nothing to lose, but maybe the guys at the top will stay out there because they've got a lot to lose, losing track position. So one of those scenarios where you don't know what to do, and the guys behind the softs could come quick towards the end of the race behind you, so it could be very interesting towards the end.
This reminds me a bit of Austria last season for the old Tier 3 when I pitted with like 3 laps to go onto the new softs and just lost all my positions. So no one decided. No, Baz is in. That'll be on a fresh set of softs. I don't think that's a terrible idea, because he'll only lose 3 or 4 positions because of the 9 second gap, and Mazel's also comes in. I think Bazza could potentially win this race. He'll have, depending on when the safety car comes back in, it'll probably at the end of lap 25, maybe 24 if they're lucky. But Bazza's going to come out in P7 from the looks of things.
Depends how quick it depends how quick he can dispose those guys ahead of him. The guys that just passed him, such as Verona Flash, Eisen and Dan Ronan, maybe he was hoping those guys would pit too. I thought those guys would have pitted, but they stayed out there for track position, as Bazza is the highest runner on the soft compound tyres now. Has he made the right call or not? I don't think he has, or unless I don't know actually. Maybe P4 at best. Depends how quickly he can dispose those guys ahead who's gone past him in the pit lane. But maybe he was hoping more guys would have pitted being down there. Maybe that was his strategy, but he's committed now. Has he thrown a podium away to Fandango in P3? We'll find out towards the end of this Grand Prix.
I think Baz is on a pretty good strategy here, because he's only lost 3 positions, and the deficit on this game between the softs and the hards is so much. I think if he gets this right, I think he could be in for a podium, at least, if he gets it right. As we see, the top 6 are the tyres won't be completely off the cliff yet, especially 2nd, 3rd and 4th all on hard compound tyres, and then Palmer in the lead of the race on mediums, and 9 laps all team, remembering that he went on a mega 12 lap stint on the softs before the safety car came out on his first stint. I still think Palmer's favourite to win this. As Jay Hartnell on the mediums down in P12, you'd have thought he might have pitted for new tyres. He could have gone on. They are new mediums, but the new softs, the deficit still a good 3 or 4 tenths on the start of the stint. The safety car won't be in yet this lap, as not all the cars have caught. The three people in Kyle, Dat Roland and Eisen will all be kicking themselves for getting those penalties, as with the pack back right up to each other at the end of this race, they'll be not expecting to get much from it. It all depends on what the last few laps they bring. There could be another incident which holds people up, but I think that dash into turn 1 will be huge. But yeah, I think the safety car being at the end of this lap, I've particularly enjoyed the battle with King Panda and I think it was with Bazza. That's been a really exciting. Oh no, it was with Fandango, I think. That's been a really exciting battle. I think that. Who was it that gained all the position? I think they might have lost. I think it was Kyle. Let me see. Detail. Position changes. Yeah, the highest gained was Kyle Still, gaining 8 positions with Mazzles, Verona Flash, both gaining 6. Craigo gaining 5 along with Polishman, but that's mostly from the crashes of Leon, Glowstick, Marshall, Draper, Mays and Sophia, and all DNF from this race, and on to the last 13 drivers. Bazza losing 5 positions, that is solely from the pit stop that he made for the soft compound tyres, along with King Panda, who had that spin earlier on in the race. I think it's going to be a very interesting end to this race with fresh against used tyres, but Bazza, the leading car with fresh tyres, I think. Double check. Yep, Bazza on 1 lap tyres. I think we might have lost Indigo. Guess it's just me for the rest of this. I'll just double check. No, the stream's still running, but I think it's just me. I think something might happen to Indigo. As long as you can hear me, that's fine. Safety car will be in this lap. Hold on. Okay, all still working. So Palmer will be leading the pack for the start of the safety car restart. He's going quite early. Can Zayn have the run on anyone? The Alpine of Darrell looks to have a good run. Nope, not so much. Basil, no, he needs to get. Basil gets a really bad exit, almost a second off now of P6 from P7 position. There's 3 laps of racing here to go. Basil knows he has to get the job done on these guys before as quickly as possible so he can have a chance at that podium position. Pam getting a good getaway. Oh, he makes a mistake there, goes wide. The Mercedes in P2 is looking to go down the inside. This is not the best position to overtake. She decides to leave it for now and will look to get a better exit down here into the hairpin. As someone spun, it's Mazzles has spun. Like that is the race over for Mazzles down in P13. And there's a lot of fighting going on. Jay Hartnell overtakes King Panda. Baz is up to P6 and Verona Flash gets past Fandango. And Aiden's forced onto the grass by Nanga, who's into P4 now. And Baz is off. Baz has spun. The really promising race from Baz ends in a spin right at the end. Oh, we might have been a crash between Roland. Roland's off as well. That's a shame for both of those two. As King Panda gets past Eisen finally. Wow, this has been a first lap to remember. As Eisen, Jay Hartnell gets the job done on Eisen. I'll look to push on now on those 4 lap mediums. Kyle now the leading soft runner. Can he pull away from those that have used tyres? As Polishman gets a jump on Eisen, gets past him in the AlphaTauri. The gap between the leaders, there'll be DRS on the last lap, I think. 2 laps done, yes. The gap between Sarah and Palmer is now just 6/10 with the Verona Flash slightly further back with 1.5 seconds. Fandango 4/10, just 4/10 behind the Haas, hoping for a podium finish. I think there will be some penalties from incidents post-race. There's been quite a lot of incidents, especially the one at the start with, I think it was Leon and Glowstick, I think. Oh, and there's yellow flags, not sure what for. As Kyle and Fandango are side by side. Fandango, he gets overtaken by the Aston Martin. With that 3-second penalty, he'll come into play quite a lot though. King Panda side by side, he's forced onto the grass. We'll look to go around the outside, but that's a lovely switchback from King Panda. He gets the job done on Fandango. Fandango's tyres are completely gone, losing a chance of that podium position. So we've got an 8/10 gap now between Sarah and Palmer. If we can, the ERS. I seem to have missed the best part. So, as we'll see, 300ths of a second the gap between the two. Palmer getting overtaken, leading every single lap of the race and being overtaken right at the end. That'll be heartbreaking for him. Impressive drives from Kyle, starting from P17, I think it was, coming up to P7. That's an impressive drive, especially with the 3-second penalty. We've got Verona Flash completing the podium positions, King Panda in P4, Jay Hartnell P5, Polishman P6, Kyle P7, Fandango P8, Bazza P9 after spinning. That's an impressive recovery. And that pretty much concludes the top 10. Don't know what's happened to it, Indigo. Maybe his mic broke or he's on mute. But Polish man giving the driver of the day. If we can get Indigo back, we might be able to do interviews, I'm not sure. See what happens. That's an impressive drive from the Mercedes. I'll never be able to pronounce that. That is... I'm going to get it, hold on. Iozano Sara. I think that's right, but if she gets a win by 300ths of a second, that'll be heartbreaking for Palmer. But as we see, the final standings here, that was a fantastic race with so many overtakes, crashes, incidents, spins, safety cars. It had it all. That was a really impressive race. I think that was a pretty good race for me to have my first commentate in session on. That was impressive. Good points there for Mercedes getting the win, but no other driver finishing the race. Good points for Haas finishing 3rd and 4th. Aston Martin getting P7, AlphaTauri in P6. We've got the six drivers retiring of Leon Glowstick Marshall and Sofian in the Aston Martin also. Only one driver that finished not getting points. I think it's top 12 in this tier as well, but that was pretty impressive. It was a really good drive from both the top two. I think Palmer did deserve to win the race with the leading 26 of the 27 laps, but the Mercedes comes out on top to win the race right at the death.
Yeah, but impressive drive from Polishman, yeah, agreed, from P18. Not setting a lap to finish in P6. But, as we've seen, what an end to a brilliant race. I wonder what happened to Indigo. I've messaged him, but he doesn't seem to respond. I'll have a look what's being said in the Tier 4 paddock. It's got to be. It's tough for the driver of the day between the Mercedes and Palmer. I think both of them deserved the driver of the day. Both driving incredibly well.